Summer is basically a full wardrobe audit where everything gets exposed. My underwear drawer, complete disaster. So I finally said enough is enough. And I'm so glad we found MeUndies. And let me tell you, my old underwear is officially unemployed. I love every single MeUndies I've ever received. And the best news is that all of them have been Nippy approved. So that is the best endorsement. The second you, or Nippy, touches the fabric, you're like, oh, this is what comfort feels like. Buttery soft, breathable, the kind that doesn't dig, bunch, or ride up like it has a personal vendetta against you. Comfortable all day. And the prints? They're so fun. And my drawer is something I genuinely look forward to opening, which is kind of wild to say about underwear, but here we are. Who knew? Their ultramodal fabric doesn't make you want to rip it off the second you get home. They've got everything from classic black basics to fun seasonal prints that make you smile when you open that drawer. Sizes extra small to 4XL, so everyone gets something that actually fits. And plot twist, they source everything sustainably and actually care about their workers, which is nice when you're supporting a company. Not happy with your first pair? It's on them. 30-day guarantee, zero judgment, zero hassle. I doubt that's going to happen, though, because they've sold over 30 million pairs with 90,000 five-star reviews, which means I'm not the only person who had an underwear drawer crisis and decided to fix it. Go us! Right now, as a listener of our show, you can get up to 50% off their subscribe and save deal. And if you don't love it, you get your money back at MeUndies.com/culty. Promo code culty. That's up to 50% off their subscribe and save deal. And if you don't love it, you get your money back at MeUndies.com/culty. Promo code culty.
Truckers aren't just moving goods. They're making sure bakers get their chocolate chips and hotels get their tiny soaps. But truckers can't do this if they're not on the road. That's why Progressive has over 360 heavy truck employees to help truckers stay on time and on track. Quote truck insurance today in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal, medical, or mental health advice. The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the podcast and are not intended to malign any religion, group, club, organization, business, individual, anyone, or anything.
I'm Sarah Edmondson.
And I'm Anthony Nippy Ames, and this is A Little Bit Culty.
We woke up from a cult, and that journey was captured in The Vow on HBO and in my memoir, Scarred.
Now, in this podcast, we break down the shame and secrets that make these experiences so destructive with honest conversations on how seemingly benign groups can cross into the cultiverse and how to spot and recover from trouble if it happens to you.
Each week, we bring in experts, survivors, and whistleblowers to explore red flags, resilience, and even share a few laughs, because sometimes you gotta laugh.
Subscribe to our Patreon for early and ad-free listening, some live Q&A, and exclusive content at patreon.com/a-little-bit-culty.
Welcome to Season 8 of A Little Bit Culty.
Okay, welcome back to part 2 with Michael Shamblin Black. If you haven't listened to the first episode, this one will not go smoothly.
Okay, Michael. So we kind of jumping around in the timeline, which is totally fine. People can figure it out. I would like to just go back for a bit because you talked about the moment where Gwen starts her own church and your music label gets dropped. How long after that do you decide to leave? And was there any other pivotal kind of emotional moments? And if you do ever decide to write a book, by the way, I know we talked about that a few years ago, those moments are the sort of the emotional junctures, like things are going one way and then you're like, yeah, no. And whatever you feel comfortable talking about. I know the doc mentioned that, you know, you had your own ups and downs. Like what was going on for you during all this time, you personally?
I want to say like why I went along with it in the first part of Remnant. I went along with it because I had never watched someone like Gwen who could stand up against a system like that, the male-dominated religious system. So I was in awe at, for the first few years. It was a form of admiration. And similar to like a form of admiration for like a group, going up against a system, like, incredible odds, like in Star Wars, like the rebellion, you're going against the Empire. It was that type of awe. And also just in awe of somebody that's not afraid to take a stance on something and hold it. I was never completely, all in with Remnant, won over. And so then after a time, I start getting disappointed because I see her start turning into this massive control freak. That's the basics of how I started. And so then as it goes on, you do have the stuff like we have a lot of early persecution and Remnant. That affected me. I don't know if I should share this story because it may, have to be bleeped out or something. But, like early on in Remnant, I remember people, threatening to burn Gwen at the stake. And, I'm like 21, 22 years old. And this is my mother still. And I remember during those years in 2002, there was a cardinal law of the Catholic Church. He was on the cover of, I think, Time magazine or something. But it was right after all of these things were going on with the Catholic Church being exposed for a lot of the sexual abuse in the Catholic Church. And the Catholic Church ends up having to pay a lot of money to silence it. But Remnant was starting. We were getting all this persecution. Gwen's scaring us to death all the time in these sermons. People are threatening her. And so I'm kind of like in this militant state of mind a little bit. And, I remember being so horrified and so upset. I took a rifle one night and shot at a steeple across the street, like midnight. And shooting up, I was not even close to shooting anywhere near a person. And I realize now how stupid that was. You don't shoot a gun in the air like that because it can come down and hurt somebody. But I did that one time, and that's, it was a sign of how much I was upset at Christianity. I'm looking at all these people, and I start, over time, I start seeing these. I mentioned it to Drew Binsky, like I called it cracks in the walls of Jerusalem. And it was with people I was working with, and I started seeing these people running off with people having affairs. And then they can get on stage and they can lift their hands and they could smile. And that just bothered me to no end. It destroyed me. I just wasn't that type of person. I didn't have that gear. And I was watching them and people appeared just like angels on the outside. And once again, that's appearances. And all I talked about was losing weight and Remnant. And I don't know, I just had this, I was scared in Remnant that I had given up everything. I lost my Christian music deal. I didn't get to have the college experience that, I always wanted. I wanted to go to UT Knoxville, and I didn't get to do that because of Remnant. So I missed out on that. My reputation was destroyed because everybody in Remnant was hated by everybody in Nashville. Everywhere we'd go, people were staring. Gwen, you couldn't miss Gwen with the hair. So we were hated, lost everything. Not lost everything, but you know what I mean. The only people you had friends with were in Remnant. I was feeling like it had all been in vain. And we had so many wild experiences. People were threatening to snipe Gwen through the window at night. So we'd have to shut the curtains at night because when we met, because in her office, because people were saying they're going to snipe her. I just couldn't believe this whole thing was happening. All this had happened. And now I'm seeing people running off and doing crap. So I am just like in this state of shock and seeing the cracks grow in the walls. And, Remnant, the phrase in Remnant, it was a lot of it was rebuilding the wall based off, the Israelites coming back from Babylon and rebuilding Jerusalem. And they talk in the Old Testament, and they're talking about how the people they're building with one hand, putting blocks on the wall with one hand, and they're holding a sword with the other hand. And I felt like that's what was going on. But the thing is, our eyes were looking everywhere for enemies, but nobody was looking at ourselves. We weren't looking in at what we were doing. And so there's nothing normal about it. And so then over time, Gwen, like I said, she gets crazy controlling. She gets worse. She, not letting me work with people outside the church, like with music or people. And then I start seeing, the red flags, the big red flags. And I know y'all talk about that a lot with your podcast, but, it's the Joseph Smith murder case, of course, the child discipline in Remnant. With that murder case, too, I remember that going on, and Gwen wouldn't let me see the autopsy photos. And I was asking for them. She had them. And I was like, she's like, they're doing too much for you. They're too hard for you. And then she'd be like, just let me explain it to everybody. And, one of the red flags was that, and then the child discipline, in the showdown spankings and things of that nature. You started seeing kids freaking out in the Remnant because their parents would get extreme. I saw kids leave, kids I knew, because their parents started putting all these rules on the fridge and just there was really ridiculous stuff going on, and locking them in their rooms and stuff like that. And then you have I started seeing the RF security team being built, like this army and Remnant, another huge red flag. And then when I found the guidance system, that was another big red flag.
What's that?
Oh gosh, the guidance system. I mean, it's basically all of the information of every member. Wow. And I know other churches have this kind of stuff, but it is like, I remember getting on the Remnant website one day in my office and seeing, like, they had this thing where it was just like, it's files on every single person in the church. And it's cataloging everything they've ever done, every doubt they have about Gwen. It's got a map of every member's homes on like a Google map type thing. We had our own Remnant map. It shows every bit of counsel every single person in the church is getting. That's a file, and they're long files. And I had evidence of that, and I presented it to Phil Williams of Channel 5 in Nashville when I did that, when the first time I ever came out and started doing interviews. And so it just was a massive overreach of privacy. It's a massive overreach of power within Remnant. All of the information.
And gathering of blackmail. Right. For blackmail?
Exactly. They get people. And I was telling people there, everybody felt so honored to come into Remnant, new people, and get up and give their testimony and tell everything about themselves. And I'm like, you guys, they're filming you so that in 1 year, when you're ticked off, they have the video. It's collateral, like what you talk about, sir. I mean, it's what y'all talk about in NXIVM. It's collateral. We just didn't call it that.
No, testimony has a better ring to it than that.
Does it though?
I like that.
Yeah. Let me back up for a second. Was the glue sticks and the rods, like, were you and your sister also hit? Was that kind of discipline part of your upbringing, or did that come later?
Yes, we were we were spanked like, a lot of kids, but the worst stuff didn't start coming till Remnant, and we were by then adults. Older.
Right. And you were an adult, and also at some point in this, and if you don't want to talk about your personal life in terms of your family, we don't have to, but or if you feel comfortable, like, you got married, like during your red flag time, were you also trying to raise a family? Or that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and my marriage was kind of one of those things that kind of kept me in Remnant, because I had an arranged marriage, which I know it sounds ridiculous. This is 2026, the last time I checked. But we had, it was an arranged marriage, a full-on arranged marriage, where I was very young, 21, 22, and that was pushed on me. I had all the leaders in Gwen because they could control my ex-wife. She was a girl. They ran off other girls that I was dating, and she was the girl that was chosen for me. And I was the third wedding within Remnant. They number all their weddings, and I was number 3. And it was Gwen approved. And my ex, I always said to people, she was married to my mother. And that sounds odd, but that's what it was. Her real spouse was Gwen, because I could not confide in her. I really couldn't, or I get turned in. Our entire marriage, I never had that. I didn't have this experience of meeting somebody and falling in love and, we're going to make it us versus the world and all this stuff. I did not have that. It was completely arranged. I was not, I want to be careful how I'm not trying to down her. But I would not have put it this way. Neither one of us would have married each other. I would not have married her.
Correct.
It sounds like Gwen put somebody in your life that she could control you and make sure that it was like a little having a mole implanted in your home, and that she was.
Exactly. They talked every single day. And in fact, I even remember once AirPods started coming out, she would sometimes have a drink of alcohol and she would leave one of her AirPods laying around. So I would put it in. They talked about me probably 3 or 4 hours a day. Her and my sister and Gwen.
That's called triangulation.
But they talked about everybody all the time.
Make sure you bring that to your next therapy session. Triangulation. So
triangulation.
Yes. Yeah. So
I don't like it.
It's what narcissists do.
Narcissists do it a lot, and they do it to control and make sure that you're like, think of the triangle, right? Instead of her going directly to you,
problems whenever they want.
They can, use the second person, also known as, and you may not have gotten to this part in the book yet, a flying monkey from The Wizard of Oz. So it makes your wife and the other. I mean, it sounds like Gwen had a lot of flying monkeys, and actually, we didn't talk about this. When did you become Joseph Lara's stepson, and how was that?
Oh, goodness gracious. That was, wow. I mean, how was it?
Yeah, like, did you see that train wreck coming a mile away, or was he charming? Like, I mean, I can only imagine what it was like from the documentary, but what was your perspective of that whole thing?
I mean, by the time that Joe Lara's coming around, I'm kind of just in a state of existing shock. So, like, nothing shocked me anymore that Gwen would do. I remember everybody was so just enamored with him. They were so blown away by him. He was in all these B-movie type things, action movies, and country music star wannabe kind of guy, a pilot, and he was an impressive guy. But with Joe, he was so fast-tracked into the high position. He ended up being something like Gwen's bodyguard, and I knew that he was nothing like, they were trying to position him like he's like some perfectly righteous, pure person to the average member, and they're bending the reality like they always do. I knew that he wasn't that, and I almost always felt like some sort of, this is weird, but with somebody that threatened my life, but I felt a weird connection with him, like he was in a similar position as me, because I'm obviously at that point gathering information and writing in a secret journal, and he's coming in and he's an actor. He's having to be on stage and walk Gwen up and hold her hand, lifting his hands up to God. I mean, do you really think Joe Lara was in church praising God before? Like, no,
it's a grift for him.
It seemed like he was a parasite on her wealth, is what it looked like from the doc anyway.
He swung into her life.
Yes.
Tarzan.
Yeah, we get it.
I knew.
Thanks.
Triggered. I knew that he hated me, though. He once, like one time, he wouldn't say it. He was very careful with his words. Because he's also like this, he was like as high as you can get, like civilian sniper. He knew some Navy SEALs and all these people. So he was like very serious. He was a diver and all this kind of stuff. So he knew all these military guys. He was extremely serious. But he one time, so everything he did was calculated. He wasn't like silly like some of the other people could be, like being funny. So one time he sent me a picture of my newborn son with one of Gwen's her witch cats in Ashlong. The cat was like climbing up the stroller, and he took a photo and sent it to me. I wasn't even there at the time. And it was just like, is that a threat? Is that it was weird. Like the cat's about to jump on my baby sleeping.
Or just a poor sense of humor.
He was. I actually think he was a monster in a lot of ways. But he was used to being able to get away with things. He was like this cowboy type guy. He was the type guy to walk into the bar and threaten people. That type of thing. And I was just a variable in his mind to be managed. He had his thing going there, And I was just maybe a little bit of a slightly threatening variable because they were always concerned I was going to go to media. But it was very awkward. And I didn't care about him getting the high position. I didn't want it. I was even at the time, I was thinking of trying to use Joe to help get me out of Remnant because he had all these contacts in media or Hollywood. I was actually going, look, because when they started talking about doing something with TLC, a reality show, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, hell, yeah, let's do it. Because as soon as we do a reality show, I'm going to do a spinoff or something. This is my chance. If I finally get some recognition, I'll make people know of what's going on here.
Before we hear from our sponsors, just a quick reminder. Our book, A Little Bit Culty, Navigating Cults, Control, and Coercion, is officially out and available on Amazon.
Signed pre-orders have closed, but you can still get your copy today. This book is the culmination of 5 years of conversations, interviews, and research. Everything we've learned about how people get pulled into high-control groups and how to avoid, escape, or heal from them.
If you've been listening to the podcast and want a deeper go-to resource, this is it.
Available now on Amazon in print and as an ebook for Kindle. And yes, the audiobook is coming soon, narrated by us.
Just search A Little Bit Culty and grab your copy. Do it.
Thanks, everybody.
Think about how absolutely bonkers it is that we work, then just wait. Then eventually get paid, like we collectively agreed to this insane deal. Meanwhile, you can get literally anything else instantly. A pizza in 30 minutes? Done. A book? Ordered. But your own money that you already earned? Sorry, you have to wait 2 weeks like it's 1987. EarnIn's been fixing this for over a decade. Access up to $150 a day of money you've already earned, up to $1,000 between paychecks. Optional tips, standard transfers in 1 to 2 days with no mandatory fees. Expedited transfers are just $3.99 to $5.99. 5 million people have already made the switch, which means the old way is starting to genuinely look weird. When I was living in New York, I had to wait 90 days to get my paycheck. Download EarnIn on the App Store or Google Play. Spelled like earning money without the G. Type in A Little Bit Culty under podcast when you sign up. It'll really help the show. EarnIn is a financial technology company, not a bank. Access limits are based on your earnings and risk factors. Standard cash outs take 1 to 2 business days with no mandatory fees. Expedited transfers available for a fee. Tips are voluntary and don't affect the service. Available in select states. Terms and restrictions apply. Visit earnin.com for full details. We protect literally everything. Our health, our cars, our phones. We've got plans and insurance and warranties for days. But your home, your biggest investment, we just hope nothing breaks. Which is hilarious because things absolutely break. Your plumbing gives up, your HVAC decides 2 a.m. is the perfect time to quit, your electrical system has a moment, and your regular homeowner's insurance, yeah, that doesn't cover any of that stuff. Suddenly, you're panicking, Googling contractors at midnight, hoping you don't get completely fleeced. As homeowners, there's nonstop challenges. Faucets breaking, ice machines breaking right before your son's baseball tournament. It's a nonstop challenge. Enter HomeServe. It's basically a subscription for your home. For as little as $4.99 a month, they've got your back when things go wrong. No more panicking and searching. You call their 24/7 hotline, they connect you with a local contractor from their network of 2,600, and the repair gets handled. Just pick up the plan that fits your needs and budget, and you're covered. They've been doing this for over 20 years with nearly 4.5 million customers who rate them 4.8 out of 5. A+ BBB rating. They're the real deal. So you can actually start protecting your biggest investment. Join the millions of customers who trust HomeServe. For 50% less your first year, go to homeserve.com/culty. That's homeserve.com/culty for 50% less. Savings compared to renewal price. Void in Florida.
Summer wardrobes are so weird because you end up wearing like 5 pieces on repeat while everything else just sits there, quietly judging you. So why not make those 5 pieces actually great? That's the whole thing about Quince. They nail elevated essentials, the kind of stuff that feels intentional without requiring a PhD in styling or a second mortgage. Their linen pants, for example, start at $32 and become your summer uniform. Soft denim, organic cotton sweaters for layering when evenings cool down. Simple pieces that work together because they were designed that way, not because you got lucky. And I love their 14-karat gold jewelry, the kind of thing that makes even the most effortless outfit feel like you actually tried, which you didn't, but nobody needs to know that. Everything's 50 to 80% less than other brands because they skip the middleman and work directly with ethical factories. So you're paying for quality, not some brand's fancy marketing budget. I've been loving all of their basics for my summer travel. I have this cute crossbody black leather purse that matches my little black backpack, which sometimes my kids wear and then I wear, and we all look cute in it. I also have an awesome, super soft matching sweatshirt and joggers that I've worn for every single leg of my flight, including the 6 hours from Halifax to Vancouver, because they're kind of like pajamas, but they're also elevated, so I still look like I'm not traveling in my PJs. And they've also got incredible home stuff, bedding, kitchen essentials, furniture. Basically, Quince gets that you want your whole life to feel intentional without actually having to work that hard at it. Make your summer wardrobe feel easier. Go to quince.com/culty for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/culty for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/culty. Sponsor break's done. Back for more culty stories.
But Gwen would have none of it. She had to control everything.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, anything that narcissists can't curate, they don't participate in.
Right. And I remember her even asking the guy who came from TLC, I remember her asking like about having editing privileges, like everything. And I'm like, you have to be able to work with somebody, to do things like this. And that doesn't, like you said, it doesn't occur to her that she has to work with somebody on editing. She has to have the say.
Wow. Okay, so you're stuck. You have this arranged marriage. You're watching your mother get grifted by a parasite B-level actor. You're trying to find your way out, but you're stuck. What's the final, how do you actually leave?
Well, it would be the plane crash, really. After all that had happened, Joe, by the very end there, Joe gives me the sniper threat before they die. A few months before they died, he threatened my life, which is kind of wild.
I didn't know that. What did he do?
So I came over to Ashland one day, and Gwen was like, "Hey, Joe wants to see you. He's out at the shed in the back." And so my dad had this like shed that he used to do like tinker around blacksmithing or something. So Gwen turned it into Joe's personal gym, and he would make his own bullets out there. He had this whole thing like an armory. So I went out there to the back, and I walked into the barn. It was like a little barn, and he goes, "Walk in," and he tells me, just to come. He's like at this wooden workbench, and he picks up this Creedmoor sniper round. It's a big sniper round. And he puts it on the table. I'm trying to like do it with my hand. And he just says he didn't say anything else. He didn't say hi. He just says, "This is what I'm going to take you out with." Oh, he said, "This is what he goes, "This is what we're going to take you out with from 1,200 yards. And that's it. He didn't say anything else.
Fuck.
And so
what'd you say?
Nothing. I just walked out, and I went back, and I went to lunch with my dad. And I told my dad, and he was like, "This guy's such an asshole,"
Jesus.
But that's all he said. That's all he said. Because they knew, though, I had been writing in a secret laptop on a journal for years, but they couldn't find it. But they had seen some of it. But they knew I was like going one day to do something, go to media. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Because at this point you hadn't.
I had not. No.
You had your own family and you were living off the property.
I felt like I was in a prison at that point.
Yeah.
Well, you were.
But I was taking stock of everything. Every meeting, I'm taking secret recordings. I'm always taking notes. I'm working against them, but I'm playing the part because I still get up on stage and sing worship songs and pretend. I had two lives.
you were PIMO. Have you gotten to that part in the book yet? Physically in, mentally out?
I probably like right over here. PIMO. Yeah.
PIMO.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens. And sometimes people don't leave just because they're in the community and they know nowhere else to go.
That's exactly what I was. I was PIMO. Exactly.
Yeah.
So at that point, you have the plane crash.
Tell us about where you were when you heard about that, by the way. I'm sure people have asked you that, and whatever you wanted to share. That must have been, I don't know. I can only imagine.
It's May 29th, wasn't it?
Yes, May 29th. That's right.
That's my birthday.
That's why he remembers.
Oh, I like that, Nippy.
I thought you might.
So I was driving down the interstate that day, I get a call from my sister that, she's getting calls from people that were on the ground. And she puts me and my ex on the phone, and she's like, oh, the plane went down. And she's like, they're dead. She knew it right off the bat. And so I basically, like, even as she's talking, I'm like, what's going to happen with Remnant? That was my first thought. But Elizabeth, what I immediately realized, Elizabeth had already been placed in leadership instantaneously. They had this plan in place for years to do this, to put her in that position. So, I mean, within the first hour of them down, Elizabeth is already getting treated like the leader. The assistants that were Gwen's are now reporting to her. So they've already got security guys going to Percy Priest Lake, getting, real-time intel and on the phone with Elizabeth, updating her constantly, unbeknownst to me. So I realized that was going on. And I think my first thought was actually a form of gratefulness. And I said this to Phil Williams, and I've said it to people. I never cried. I never have cried about it. It was actually happiness. Because like I said, Joe had just threatened me 2 months before.
Mm-hmm.
And Gwen was just a monster. It was the witch is dead in my mind. And I remember calling my dad, walking outside and just calling him and letting him know, because the news started showing up on the news everywhere. The very first conversation we had was it a suicide? Did Joe do it on purpose? But, I'll be honest, I don't know if I want to get into that because it's tricky stuff.
Yeah,
there was an NTSB investigation, and they, decided that it was pilot error.
And he didn't have a whole lot of experience, if I remember correctly, right?
He did have experience, but he wasn't qualified to fly that specific Cessna, that citation. It's not like he didn't lack a commercial license, but I think he lacked that rating because that was like he was brand new to it was an advanced type aircraft for him. So it was moving too fast, right? He was moving too fast, too overconfident with that. But anyway, it was that. But that to me, though, when that happens, we realized that nothing's ever going to be the same in Remnant again. I had so much abuse from a lot of these people that I just didn't have any emotions. There was no grief. So I was just thinking, what's going to happen with Remnant? I was happy. I never expected that to happen. But so then Elizabeth takes over the church and, I see an opening, essentially. I see this being like, after everything that had happened, keep in mind, I'd been followed for years by the security teams. I had been treated like the black sheep. I knew even with Gwen passing, with Elizabeth taking over, I'm not going to be given my salvation from them. I knew that was not going to come. I was still not going to be free. And my wife was wanting out of our marriage at that point. And I knew, Elizabeth was Queen Elizabeth now, basically. And I'm like the rubber stamp brother, that's going to be watched. And I'm still going to be this black sheep. And I'm methodically being pushed out of any, major decision making. I just knew I needed to leave at that point. That was to me, there always would talk about this to ex-members. I always felt like there's like a window. That's just the best way I can come up with it. But like, there's a window of a time to leave to me. in Remnant, and maybe it applies to other places too. But I would always tell people, look for the window, because it's going to be this one little time that everything lines up and the stars align and you've got a chance, and you could see it happen. A lot of times it's impossible in your mind with family or all the circumstances, but just every now and then there's this one little spot and something will happen and it'll trigger it. And you have this window, and then that's your opportunity. And so take it when you see the window. And that to me was my window to get out.
I have goosebumps.
So the writing was on the walls to me, and there was one particular night that me and my ex were having a very difficult time. And even now with Gwen's estate, she wasn't supporting me. I was like, Elizabeth is ripping us off. This is the remnant attorneys are all siding with Elizabeth, and you're going to side with, I'm trying to protect our family and our children and make it equal, help our family out too. And she would just walk. She wouldn't talk to me. She just goes, I don't want to deal with it. And I was on my own, and I knew my fate was sealed with the new regime. And so Erin, my wife, she sided with Elizabeth on everything, just like she done with Gwen. And it was one-sided. Everything was always one-sided against me. And the estates, the attorneys, everything. I could literally show people something on a piece of paper, black and white, proving that Elizabeth is lying or something, and they didn't want to see it. They walk off.
Wow.
And so that was the time. That was the circumstance. And that just happened to be my window. It was that fight. It was that, getting the false accusations, the leadership treating me like that in the plane crash. So then I take off, I go get a rental house. I'm sleeping I resigned from the church. I knew I had to resign, and I take off, and it was like a nightmare, to be honest, that time, that month. I lost contact with everybody, and I knew it was going to happen. I had seen it happen with so many people in Remnant, so I did have a little advantage because I knew these things were going to happen ahead of time. But it still is not fun. I lost contact with absolutely everybody that I'd been around for 25 years. And my phone, it went from getting hundreds of texts a day to like 0. And, maybe like the trash company texts me or something, there's no contact. And I moved to a rental house, which in Spring Hill, which is south of Nashville. And it was not great. I was sleeping on the air mattress for several months, and there happened to be rats in the house. And so I slept with a machete next to me at night on the floor because there were rats. And there was this guy that owned it, the Chinese guy, and they didn't tell me. So there were rats. And so I put towels underneath my door with weights on them, trying to keep the rats out. I would chase them at night with my machete.
This is not good for PTSD, by the way. Just a little.
But I was having to deal with Elizabeth's remnant attorneys at that point because now Gwen's estate is kicking up after the crash. I'm kicked out. I leave / I'm kicked out because they're making it impossible for me. They were saying, I had one of the leaders in Remnant, saying we have to address the elephant in the room type thing when I was in the sanctuary in front of people, there were lots of things going on, but they had already planned. Elizabeth was already going to be the leader. Gwen had already worked on that for years. And I call it the women's movement. It was going to be a woman, her daughter, bloodline. And so this was just the progression. And we also were getting sued at the same time for $10 million for a wrongful death lawsuit. One of the families of one of the girls that died on the plane crash, they were suing us for $10 million. But so I'm in, and I'm getting a divorce at the same time, and I'll lose everybody. So I'm going through this horrific phase. So, one time I think I have a heart attack in this place because at night I'm sitting there my kids are going through my mind. I'm in the dark, and, I don't know what's going to happen, really.
Right.
And HBO was about to come out. That was another thing. The documentary was just about to come out.
Oh, that's right.
So there was all these things happening at the same time. And I was hearing from people saying it's going to be really bad for me. They're like, oh man, Michael's about to get nailed on this documentary. So I was eating so messed over. My hair was falling out like in clumps from stress. It was just falling out. So I checked myself into Williamson County ER one night because I thought I'd had a heart attack. I didn't. I just thought I did. And I remember the doctor, he was this super smart guy. And I'm like, this is a heart attack. He goes, so stress can be physical. I said, this is physical pain, like in my chest, like physical. And he goes, yes, stress can be physical pain. And that was the first time I ever had heard that. I didn't know that. I thought stress was just some, I don't know.
Abstract emotion. Yeah.
Abstract emotion, right.
Yeah,
and
it's not.
Stress is physical pain.
You have to process it.
And so that's going on. And I was thinking HBO is about to make me look like a terrible person. I was dreading that. I did have thoughts of suicide at that time period. And I went through a phase where I stopped turning on the lights in the house. And that's when I wrote a song. I called it Down. I was going through a real deep depression at that point. I was just using candles, essentially. Just light candles and to write or something. And then, like I said, I wrote that song Down, which it's on my YouTube. I've never put it up. Like, it's not out there, but it's on my YouTube channel.
We'll check it out.
Michael, I'm just going to share this with you. I don't know if it's going to help, but it helped me in a way of like kind of putting the thing into perspective. I remember having a conversation with my dad when we were going through our shit. And I was like, yeah, it's like I'm experiencing like depression. And my dad goes, yeah, well, no shit, Nippy. and I don't think he meant it in a way to be like, like dismissive, but it was like, yeah, you just went through this. Like, if that's not going to cause you stress, what will? And it gave me permission. Good. It gave me permission to feel it because I don't know. You never know how you're going to respond to situations until it happens, right? You can have an intellectual understanding of yourself, but it's not exposed to you until it happens. And then when you're experiencing it, it doesn't make it any better,
Right. I love that. I mean, I love that. And I feel like that's so good because it's like, I think a lot of times too, I mean, I think maybe men don't get told that enough, possibly.
Like it's okay. That was my dad's like way of saying, yeah, it's okay. And this is a valley and,
right.
The peaks and valleys, it's the if poem. It's like you treat those two imposters just the same, right? And so, this too shall pass. Well, it's same with the peaks, right? Oftentimes you peak and you come back down and as long as it's a stock market and it keeps going up, you can turn those valleys into wisdom. It sounds like you're on your way to doing that and have done that.
Well, there was one other thing too that I've never really mentioned. I didn't mention to Phil Williams. It's not on the documentary, but I also had a stalker too at the same time.
Shit.
That was trying to kill me. So she tried to kill me like 5 times.
What?
So when I was in Remnant security would stop her and get her arrested in coordination with Brentwood PD. So when I leave, I lose my protection there. So
who is this girl or woman?
Her name is Jackie Furlong. Jackie's a great name for a stalker. She's been stalking me since 2010.
What the? Still?
What was her deal?
Yeah, she still is. She just lost her mind. She was actually a member of Remnant. I always thought, like, I wish that had made it in the documentary, but she was a member of Remnant Fellowship Memphis. And she was married and had 4 kids. I had never met her. And she was a gun collector and a knife collector. And I never met her. And we actually have proof of that because she started writing me letters. And she started losing her mind. And she started seeing like messages and codes in Gwen's sermons. And also like in my song lyrics. And she started feeling like God was telling her that me and her were supposed to be married. So, I remember hearing from a security guy, that she was, the night that Gwen found out, she was like in council with Gwen at the Remnant. She came to Nashville and was in council with her in her office on a Wednesday night service. And Gwen walks outside to this guy who was also a police officer. And Gwen walks over to the security guard and she like digs her nails into the guy's arm. And she's like, this woman is crazy. And so she's like, walk me to my car, get me out of here. And so then Remnant starts, giving her orders of protection to stay away from Remnant, to stay away from me. But no matter what, it wouldn't work. She would keep coming back. And it didn't matter how many times she got arrested. She's been arrested 15 times. And all of her criminal charges or convictions are because of me. And so now she's at the level of especially aggravated stalking. And so eventually it kept, like one of the times, like we were going to Denver for some Remnant event, she books a ticket for the same flight at B&A. And, she shows up, she's got one of her children has Down syndrome. She leaves the kid in the car out front because she thinks she won't be arrested if she brings a Down syndrome kid with her. Like she's using it like a human shield.
Wow.
So she gets on the line and the police have to come arrest her at the airport because she was trying to get on the same flight as me and my ex. She sent me letters. Every day she's writing letters, and Remnant for many years, I didn't know about it because Remnant was intercepting them from me because they thought I had done something wrong. They thought I had had an affair or something and she was mad. So finally one day, but these are not letters, 60 to 100 page letters. She'll write them from prison or what. She's been in mental institutions several times. She's been in Rolling Hills, which is here in Franklin. But so they were screening her for those first several years in Remnant because Gwen, they were suspecting, me, and they never explained it to me. And then one day, thankfully, she finally mentions in one of these big letters, she goes, I know we've never met, in her letter. And it proves it right there. And so that same day, the head of Remnant Security, he walked into my wait-on office, and I'm sitting at the desk, and he's like, you can tell he's frustrated. He's mad. He drops this huge pile of letters right in front of me, and he lets me know about the stalker. I'm like, what? I was too smart to have some sort of angry reaction. I was already playing the game. So I was like, oh my goodness. And anyway,
That's
I was
nuts.
like, whoa, thanks for letting me know. And so when the security would be following her when she gets out of jail. And so what she would do, she would get out of jail and she would immediately go get a hotel room and she would buy something to look like my wife, like a wig.
Jesus.
She would wear a wedding dress and socks. And so she got arrested at Remnant. She would drive right to Remnant or wherever she thought I was. And they would Remnant security is tracking her. So they're following her, which is kind of shady in itself because they did that to other people like me. But so anyway, she would drive and then they would coordinate with Brentwood police and they would be there just to pick her up when she shows up. And she would be arrested. She was arrested with knives in her car. And she was going to kill me with knives. And she, and I remember talking to a detective in Brentwood and he said, female stalkers like to kill with knives. Men stalkers kill with guns. So I didn't know that. I've learned a lot about stalking since then. She's unstable. She's delusional. Being arrested means nothing. And she would wear socks and she told the police, she goes, I wear socks because I know the jail floors are cold. So she's been arrested that many times. So this recent time, she was in prison for 9 years. She served 9 years, eventually finally got to that point. And then when she got out, which was the same year my dad died, 2023, just 2 or 3 years ago, she finally got out of prison. And then what does she do? She drives straight to, Franklin, gets a hotel. She starts writing me on social media immediately.
Jesus.
She just got out of prison. It was an 9-year sentence. So I'm having to go to court during this time too, without security. So once she's out. So that added to, I guess my whole point.
You were stressed.
It added to the stress. It was nerve-wracking.
No wonder you thought you were having a heart attack. That's even the stalker portion of your life
would be enough.
Is enough to, create stress on your heart and your heart palpitations or whatever it was. In some situations, if someone's listening and they're in a situation, whether it's domestic violence or cult of one, with an abusive partner, it's the same kind of thing. Like, have your passport ready, like have a hidden bag packed so that if that window does come, you can leave. And it's really good advice. We definitely had a window and we jumped.
Yeah, we had one window.
Yeah, we jumped through it pretty quickly.
It was a portal.
Yeah, portal to reality.
And look at the results. I mean, look what happened because y'all did that.
Yes.
You know,
We had lucky.
Yeah.
We had a little bit lucky along the way too.
Yes,
Yeah.
but you know,
look at all the things that have happened because y'all, have been on the vow and done all that stuff. I mean,
thanks,
think
Michael.
of all the
lucky.
people that have been, all the awareness that's been raised because of it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, and I think that's, and you as well. And I think that's really good advice. We'll make sure that's the soundbite. So you've been sort of struggling at it alone for a bit, and you were very much alone. Shortly after all this happened, you meet Ken. He brings you to CrimeCon. I suggest a therapist. We keep in touch. How are you now? Like, where is your life now? I noticed you're wearing black and you've got black paint all around you. Are you still in a dark hole? Are you coming out of the dark hole?
I am. Black to me is more of something, it's a symbolic thing.
Mm-hmm.
I have talked about it. It's more of a persona of somebody that's just being ready for false religious people. But I would say how I am now, it's, yes, as far as I'm on the track of, let's say, I'm going against the remnant still. And I don't want to, how do I explain this? Like coming out of a hole. I'm trying to think of it. I really am. Supposedly I'm free from remnant. And the people, all these women and people monitoring me and all these things, I still feel like I keep hearing these women's accusations sometimes.
Like in your head?
Mm-hmm. And it's depression. It's been something I've had to tackle. There has been dark times. I mean, to be honest, I think honesty is the best policy. In therapy, it's helping. And I've started taking sertraline. And
is that an antidepressant?
Zoloft. And I'm trying to, increases your serotonin, right? But somehow I feel like there's a part of me, and this may sound weird, but there's a part of me on the inside that wants to fight that happiness. And I don't even, like I almost don't want to feel better. And I don't know how to describe that, but I sometimes think like the way I describe it to Dr. Lara Anderson is, I don't want to lose this fire, if that makes sense.
Like you're afraid that if you're happy, then you'll lose the urge to fight?
Maybe.
Yeah, I get that.
Or, people, sometimes I've had people say, you could be on a beach drinking margaritas and things of that nature. I don't know fully why I'm still doing this, but I feel like it's something that I'm supposed to be doing. Exposing Remnant, this campaign that I'm doing on. I don't feel like it's a righteous, I'm not saying I'm righteous. It's not a righteous campaign, not a crusade, but it's been effective. And, I'm trying to keep a decent relationship with my kids. I feel like it is decent, and they're still in Remnant, and I love them very much. It's awkward sometimes. And I always try to make it clear, like the day you want to talk, I'll be here, anything you need. And I know it's confusing for children whose parents are not in, a church or cult or vice versa. And they're in the bubble. But I'm holding out hope that they're going to find a way, just like, Gwen, circling back around to Gwen and my dad. Remember when I said she's always bad mouthing him to us all the time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Behind his back? Well, guess what? Guess who I end up becoming best friends with in the end? It's my dad. And people have a way of seeing through things.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
It finds a way, like to use the Jurassic Park movie line, life finds a way or something. Truth finds a way, the reality finds a way.
Totally.
And as far as like Sarah, like healing, I know I've joked about like the word, like my least favorite word is heal, or I use it like a curse word or something. And I say like, it's a difficult situation for me because, like, in my mind, I don't know if I would ever want to heal like some people talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this is just me being brutally honest here.
No, you should be.
It's not that I wouldn't mind a break from these situations, because I'm still going at it with Remnant. Still, it's a choice, basically, but it scares me to distance myself from it. Partially because I think I'm doing a big disservice to people that are still there. Partially because of my kids. I just don't know. Sometimes the interest in healing is what I've tried to psychoanalyze myself, believe me. And I've talked to Dr. Lara about it. Like I said, it's keeping that fire.
This episode would not be possible without the support of our sponsors. Let's hear what they have to offer. Your space should feel like you. And if it currently looks like a college dorm room mixed with stuff I inherited from people I don't even know and maybe Facebook Marketplace, well, that's a budget problem, not a taste problem. Enter Wayfair, which understands that good design doesn't require selling a kidney. We've used Wayfair every time we need a refresh. I'm always amazed how easy it is to order, and the deliveries are fast and seamless, and the quality is superb. Friends, if you're wanting to replace an item in your home, Wayfair should be your first stop. Yes, we order from Wayfair all the time, and honestly, you should too. Wayfair Verified is basically their team of product nerds hand-testing everything with a 10-point inspection. So you're not buying some chair that looks great in photos but feels like sitting on a bag of regrets. Everything's in one place. Seating, grills, lighting, storage, rugs. No more bouncing between 17 stores trying to find pieces that actually vibe together instead of looking like a ransom note. And assembly, they handle delivery, installation, putting it all together. You just pick stuff and they deal with the soul-crushing instruction manuals written by people who hate joy. Plus, 20 million 5-star reviews means you're seeing real people in real homes, not some magazine fantasy. Real feedback from real humans who aren't professional stylists. Ready to upgrade your home for way less? Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home and get your space ready for less. That's WAYFAIR.com. Happy shopping.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
There are things in life you absolutely do not want to be transparent about. Your swimsuit, your search history, that time you cried watching a commercial, but your wireless bill? Transparency is everything, which is why Mint Mobile is basically a breath of fresh air in an industry built on confusion and gotchas. No hidden fees, no introductory rates that explode after 3 minutes, no mysterious charges that make you question your life choices. Just straightforward $15 a month, all plans, even unlimited, high-speed data, unlimited talk and text on T-Mobile's 5G network. That's it. That's the whole thing. You bring your current phone, keep your number, pick a 3, 6, or 12-month plan, and suddenly you're not hemorrhaging money on wireless anymore. Sign up online and boom, you're done. I know it sounds too good to be true because we've all been trained by carriers to expect the rug pull. But nope, just actually $15. Honestly, my only regret is spending years overpaying when this existed the whole time. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/culty. That's mintmobile.com/culty. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/culty. That's it. There's no catch. Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12 months. Plan required, $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes. May slow when network is busy. Includes up to 20 gigabytes hotspot. Capable devices required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. See mintmobile.com.
As a small business owner, sometimes it feels like no matter how much planning you do, there's always surprises, like an urgent, expensive repair. But here's a surprise you will like. With Progressive, small business owners save 13% on their commercial auto insurance when they pay in full. So enjoy a surprise for once. Get a quote in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Did you skip over all the ads? We hope you didn't. Thank you to our sponsors, and thank you for listening. Now, let's resume our culty convo. I just want to share something with you and take it for what it's worth. Like, this is just my experience. But I think it's an interesting metaphor. I was listening as you were talking as to like, that choice. And I realize also the word heal has like a Christian meaning to it that we don't have, that like, I'm going to heal you, the Lord will heal you, or salvation is probably all mixed up in that. Is that right?
It's possible. Yeah. Maybe I wish there was another word for it.
Yeah. Let's forget healing. Because I think, and you'll read about this in the book, the term loaded language, healing means something different. So let's not use that word. Okay. That's one thing. Second, again, for what it's worth, take it or leave it. I had a brand on my body, as you know. I had Keith Ranieri's initials on my body, and I kept that on there for a while, and I tried to my version of getting better or healing was to like try to get it removed. I was putting cream on it to make it flat and make it go away, and at the same time I wanted it there because I wanted to show people what had been done to me. And I felt like people weren't really outraged until they saw that, because like otherwise I would have like,
it was
what's
the cover
harm?
of your book.
He was going to cover my book. Yeah. But like, if you looked at me otherwise, I'm fine. Right. Like I'm alive. I'm fine. To get people to feel how wrong it was, what was done to me, I had to show them the brand, physical abuse.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because I feel like there were times when I was trying to move on or heal or whatever the fuck. But if I did an interview, if I wasn't like showing how pained I was and how hard it was, then like it was incongruous. What's the word? Incongruous. Like it wasn't, like it's a hard thing to say, hey, this isn't right. And, you need to stop what you're doing, Remnant Church, Vanguard, whatever it is that we're calling out, and also be happy. Like, I think that's what as I'm hearing you talk, it's like, how do you move on and do normal things and like take your kids to baseball and also call out abuse? Like, it's just, I don't have an answer for you. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying to you, like, I understand.
It's not light work.
Yeah. Like what you're doing is it might feel like it's not consistent to like go have a margarita on a beach and then be like, and fuck you, Remnant Church. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't, maybe that doesn't, I don't know. Whatever it is, all I know for us moving on was like taking our kids to baseball and the day-to-day that like our kids in many ways kind of forced us to put that other stuff aside. And also we had a different type of, the FBI stepped in. Keith went to jail. You don't have that kind of closure.
Different closure.
Yeah. So I think a closure would allow that possibly for you. Which is going to take time. It's going to take time. And also there may come a time, and you might want to decide this for yourself or with Dr. Lara, but like, when is it enough? When have you done your part? Like when do you say, okay, I've warned everybody.
And you may have already.
You may have. Yeah. You'd be like, I rang the alarm. Everyone knows.
There's been a lot of people that have left because of my social media.
And that's, like
in interviews like this.
Yeah, to write down their names, take a look at the list.
One friend of us said you're going to have to step over bodies on the way out. And that's kind of the term. You're going to have to leave some people behind,
I just want that for you. That's I want to come over there and paint that room like hot pink or just even white.
Oh, you better not. Whoa, one step at a time.
One step at a time. Okay, I won't do that. But it's, you know what I mean? Like, I'm obviously not going to do that. But it's just, just know that what you surround yourself with is important. And you're just even looking at you. And I've known, ever since I met you, your dark glasses. And I know it's a persona and it's partly to show. But I also just wanted to give you permission to like, let that go at some point. Just as a friend who's been through it.
Noted.
I wish I could give you a big hug. It's just, man, you've fucking been through it. You've been through it, man. Like, it's so hard.
Things like this do help, though. Like getting to talk about it. In some ways, this interview is therapy for me. And so for that, thank you. Thank both of you. These opportunities, to speak, to say something, because I really couldn't say anything for so long. I'm not that type, but these things, this does do something. Therapy does do something. Remnant would have said therapy has no value. Just get your therapy from Gwen and her leaders council.
Well, of course, because they wanted full control. They wanted control over your mind.
But it was a fear that people would find value in it. And there is value in people learning about these things, like your book. And it is valuable. It is worth it. So this is helpful to me.
I'm so happy to hear that. And I would love to know what you think. There's 2 appendixes at the end of the book that are specifically about like how to deal with the media, how to write a cult memoir, things that are very niche for a small group. You're part of the group, the survivor group. So I hope you get to the end.
I will say this too about the book too. Like if people that are in Remnant still or that have left Remnant, if any of them are still maybe struggling with how they feel about Remnant or Gwen or all these confusing feelings, I do recommend the book because, I think it will maybe help take away those doubts that they have from a place like Remnant, which it is a cult. So I would suggest it in that manner.
Yeah. Are you in touch with a lot of survivors?
Oh, yeah. Every day.
Well, send them the link. I mean, I'd be so curious to know what people have thought who didn't go through a bunch of, cult education or weren't talking to a therapist in regards to the book.
Letting them know. So I am going to let people know about it. In fact, I'm going to post it on social media.
Thanks so much. I'm going to send you an easy link to post so that they can just grab it easily. And it will be on Audible soon. I know that one of the reasons we wanted to do Audible is because we know that a lot of cult survivors can't, myself included, I don't read. Can't sit still long enough. So that's also, I just sent you the text. That's something that happens. We're hoping the Audible will be something that will help people who just want to hear it. I just had one more thought. I know, there's a certain type of, you were born into this, so this might not be a thing for you, but I had a certain zealotry around building Nexium, and it was very mission-oriented. We're, saving the world. And there is a flip side to that often on the other side. I was just as mission-oriented on the other side in terms of saving the world, but saving the world from cults. So I feel like that was something that I had to kind of check myself on the other side to make sure I wasn't, not taking care of myself or, it's the same kind of drive, right?
Yeah, and I would love to hear more of that, if you do more things on that. I was in a position that I did know about the guidance system and a lot of other people didn't. And I did know about the security team abuses and all the stuff, the council going on, the text. So I do feel or at least I did, I felt an obligation. I feel like something bigger was causing this. Like I was in this position all of a sudden to speak out because so many people are scared to speak out. That's the one thing I would HBO, the documentary, they frame it as when Gwen died, all of a sudden all these people were free to share their stories and reach out to Nal Capello. And I don't see that freedom. I think they're still scared because Elizabeth took right over the regime.
Right.
And people are being kicked out for talking. So anyway,
well, if anyone happens to listen to this who's on the fence, what would you want them to know?
If anybody, listening, that maybe they don't subscribe to everything that I say, maybe about the women being leaders in Remnant or the women's movement, or maybe they don't subscribe to they don't think it was as bad as what I say. I've been wanting to say these things for so many years about Remnant, how a place like this, it's not to be trifled with. Mm-hmm. What happened with Gwen, with Way Down, all those millions of people in the 80s and 90s, and the eating disorders and all of the abuse that has happened since then, and then Remnant. Don't take it too lightly. I don't think it's something, people, I think they've started saying, there's a cult on there, everywhere now, right? There's so many cults out there. Don't take it too lightly. It's not something to just ignore, because I do worry that these things can be repeated. All of these things can be repeated. And the dangerous situations, the teachings, the abuses. It's happened before, and Nippy said it. It's happened many times before. It will happen again, and people need to pay attention. I believe, if they're listening, pay attention to what ex-members say, ex-remnant members say. Pay attention to these interviews. Pay attention to what y'all are saying. Pay attention to the cult experts. Don't write it off. Pay attention to the documentary. Even if it's not your cup of tea, listen, pay attention to it. Take it seriously. I'm still, like we're talking about moving on, healing. I'm still, I guess, technically on this move that I'm doing what I'm doing. I hope that I see the day that remnant doors are closed. And I think there's a lot of these pockets of people that have taken Gwen's stuff out. They're out there. And I just want people to be mindful of it. I don't necessarily think my story is a big happy story. It may not be the happy ending, perfect story like a movie that people, want to see sometimes. But at least we can learn from things. And just like Nexium would not have been anything close to like a perfect situation for you and Nippy with Keith Raniere, but people can learn from it. And I just hope people take something out of all this, that this isn't just, it's a podcast, but it's not just entertainment.
Right.
It's a learning thing. This is a big opportunity, though. I really appreciate y'all doing this. And I appreciate, like I said, when I got to meet y'all at the Crime Con, y'all are celebrities there. People are lining up to meet y'all. But y'all were so welcoming to me, because at that point I really had lost everybody. Both parents, everything, everybody was dead, gone. And I really appreciate you like texting me and you're like, you need to get this to Dr. Lara and you need to do this and this. And Nippy said the same thing. And so y'all have been really super cool about this. And it's very much appreciated. And your podcast is appreciated and your new book's appreciated.
Thank you. So much mutual appreciation. We posted on our Patreon this morning to see if anyone had questions, and everything that they asked we've covered in terms of what people wanted to know. But Marianne wrote that many people are rooting for you, and I think that's maybe what you don't get the feedback of. And I think you will after this episode drops, and we'll make sure to collab with you and stuff on your social media so you can see that. But I really do hope that this gives you a little wind in your sails, to do whatever is right for you. And if that's staying exactly where you are and right now, then that's for you. And if you decide to paint your room, I'll come over with some overalls and a bag of paint or a can of paint and help you.
You're not making it into the Black headquarters with a can of hot pink paint.
Look at my thermos. Look at my nails.
You'll trigger all the security systems.
I don't think pink's your color. But I'm just... I want to help uplift you. And I know that you're on that trajectory.
I know you mean that.
Yeah. But that's my journey. A really big point that people aren't going to get anywhere, but especially even my cult recovery space, like a lot of us that chose our cults or, signed up for something. You never signed up for it. You never had that choice. You never had a life away from a narcissist. And I think, Gwen's hair is an indication of her, how that grew. That's a metaphor, right? For that inflation of her head and her power. And it sounds like she was like that from the beginning.
Her hair had a mind of its own. I'll add my own 2 cents to it. The hair knew the whole time.
One thing I forgot to ask, and then we'll end on this note. I couldn't figure out how to watch it because there's all these whatever on my computer. But what did you think of the Lifetime movie with Jennifer Grey?
Oh, Starving for Salvation?
Yeah. How was that for you?
I thought they did a fantastic job.
Oh, good. I'm so happy to hear that.
Well, the story is such a long... There's so much to the whole story, really, with Way Down and then Remnant and Gwen and the plane, Joe and the plane crash. And it's a lot. I thought they did a good job putting that into a 2-hour movie. I mean, I may go watch it tonight again. I will say I especially loved the part where the guy who plays me gets into tiffs with Gwen.
Wait, I have to look.
Chippy.
I have to look it up on who I'm just looking it up on IMDb because I don't know if you know this, but it was shot in Vancouver. So when it was being shot.
Well, it was a Canadian director, John LeCure, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know the director, John LeCure, but I know like a bunch of my friends from Vancouver in it. Gabrielle Miller, his old friend of mine, played Emily.
You know
Joe Cobden. Oh my God, Joe Cobden and I went to theater school. She played Gary. Karen Cleach played Natasha. We did shows together years ago. Korea, it was filmed in Montreal. It was filmed in Montreal or Vancouver.
Who's the guy that played Joe? Because I thought he did like so.
Vincent
he did such
Walsh,
a good
I don't
job.
know him, but like.
He did. He nailed Joe. That was so good.
Oh, I don't know Vincent
Jennifer
Walsh.
Grey, though. I mean, Jennifer Grey is like...
She nailed it.
I can't believe the fact that the woman who was in Dirty Dancing now plays my mother on a movie. Why don't you put that as a... That's a soundbite.
That is the soundbite. I have to write that down. The girl who was in Dirty Dancing plays my mother on the movie. I'm writing that down right now. That's so great. So Joe Cobden, who played Gary, I don't know who Gary is, but he's an old friend of mine. Gabrielle Miller, oh my goodness, Karen Cleach.
So you
Natasha.
know a lot of these people on this movie.
Yeah, there's like acting friends of mine from when I was an actor.
Like, holy cow, that's so awesome.
Yeah, but the fact that the girl from Dirty Dancing plays your mother is just like,
well, of course she would.
Well, and I'm so happy that you're happy with it because the Lifetime version of the NXIVM story was not accurate and just really hard to watch. But I also watched it at a very bad point in my healing journey, so maybe I'll give it a fresh watch.
Why don't you get a glass of wine and give it one more shot?
How about this? Because this episode, I think everyone's gonna love it. Well, we could do a watching our Lifetime movies episode together.
A reaction video.
Yeah. I don't know how to do that technologically. I don't know how.
The sex scene with Gwen and Joe. Just
is there one?
I don't want to. No, I'm not going to give away everything.
Okay, I better watch it.
I had to be drinking heavily when I watched it for the first time.
Oof, that's
sorry
tough.
to admit that to people. I couldn't do it, but it's when there is a scene. I'll let you experience it. But when she's like in her negligee and Joe comes in his Tarzan thong or something.
Oh my God.
And there's like a sex scene. I'm like, oh my goodness. This is not happening. But anyway.
This is your life. Embrace it. Oh my goodness. But Michael, this has just been such a pleasure to talk to you. And I'm glad that we could, finally do this. And it was the right time. We were here and we were extended that offer from the beginning. And I feel like this is the right time. I can't wait to do the reaction to the Lifetime movies.
Oh, that's going to be.
Point.
Oh, we could kill that.
We could totally kill that. We are building a YouTube studio in here, like a place to actually film properly. So maybe when we get back from our summer vacation, come to Atlanta, we'll set up a TV, we'll get some wine, we'll watch it, and we'll just do it in person, maybe.
Oh no, that's.
Is that scary?
I'm almost scared of what stuff I would say, but okay.
You don't think about it now. Just something for down the road.
Yeah, I don't want to be any more traumatized. Okay, but that's crazy. What an idea. A reaction video. Who knew?
Yep. Think about that. Until then, thank you for your time. Thank you for trusting us with your story. Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining us on A Little Bit Culty. All right, everybody, that was part 2 with Michael Shamblin Black. Michael, thank you for your time and for trusting us. This was such a joy to do this with you. And audience, we'd love to hear what you thought of this episode. And what else?
The universe is going to take care of you, Michael. It already is.
Got your back.
That's my faith.
Till next time, on A Little Bit Culty.
Sinking down to the depths of the ocean, hanging on to the weight of my love. If I let go of it all, I could leave, but I know I won't.
We hope you're enjoying A Little Bit Culty. If so, please do show us some love. Drop a rating or leave a review. Hit subscribe on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen. And subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/alittleBitCulty.
Even better, send this episode to someone who needs it. Maybe they're in a cult, maybe they're just a little bit susceptible, or maybe they just love a good story. Spread the word, spread the love. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.
A Little Bit Culty is a Trace 120 production.
Executive produced by Sarah Edmondson and Anthony Nippy Ames in collaboration with producer Will Rutherford at Citizens of Sound. Our co-creator is Jess Temple Tardy.
Our production coordinator is Leslie Dinsmore.
Writing by Sandra Namoto and social media marketing by Eric Swarzinski and Brooke Keene.
Our theme song, Cultivated, is by the artists John Bryant and Nigel Aslan.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why customers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Every day as a small business owner feels like solving a puzzle. One moment you're cruising along, and the next, there's a shipping snag that has you scrambling. But here's a surprise you will like. With Progressive, small business owners save 13% on their commercial auto insurance when they pay in full. So go ahead, surprise yourself. Get a quote in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Why does Progressive work hard for truckers? Because truckers unite the world. They unite kids with their first drum sets and parents with earplugs. But truckers can't do this if they're not on the road. That's why Progressive has over 360 heavy truck employees to help truckers stay on time and on track. Quote truck insurance today in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.